Thank you, Meredith, for your honestly quite confronting talk on the changing colour of pineapples in our shopping centres. Now, this is Honolulu. It's situated in Hawaii, USA, on the Hawaiian island of Oahu, the third largest of the 6 major islands. After World War II in 1959, Hawaii became the 50th state of the United States of America, and it quickly became a popular destination amongst American tourists. Not only is it a peaceful getaway, detached from the rest of the continent, but embedded in the cultural experience are a plethora of natural's most beautiful phenomena. The major influences of its geographical uniqueness are that it was volcanically active. This created volcanic soil, allowing vegetation to flourish. And of course, there are a large mix of extinct, dormant and active volcanoes spread over the state of Hawaii. Honolulu, being on the coast, has some stunning untouched beaches.
Honolulu provides various services to provide entertainment for tourists. Helicopter, boat and submarine tours are available, as well as snorkeling and scuba diving experiences. Cultural experiences, mainly in theatres, are available, and many natural mountain hikes and drives are on the island. Many war memorials, predominantly relating to the Pearl Harbor, are also located on the island. Honolulu, although generally visualized as an all-natural area, has many hotels, apartments, taxi services and other services for tourists.
Action.
Honolulu is visited primarily by the citizens of the USA and Canada, attempting to escape the cold winter environment, and the Japanese, who have a strong economic and historical connections with them. Asians comprise of the main tourist population. However, oceanic countries and islands have seen a steady incline in visiting numbers. Currently, Europe is Honolulu's least active tourism market. However, efforts are being made to try and increase awareness of Honolulu's culture and beauty.
It's me, Giuseppe Krakowski, down here at the beautiful Palm Tree Resort in Honolulu. Just got some facts. Tourism has had a profound effect on the environment of Honolulu, both positively and negatively. The increased levels of tourism have sparked awareness of endangered species of animals and plants. The increased awareness, as well as the money gained from tourism, has helped preserve these endangered species, allowing them to be viewed and admired by all. As well as this, preserving species has helped keep the food chains on the island stable, allowing animal kingdoms to prosper. Despite the positive effects of tourism, various negative effects are present with regards to the environment. Increased tourism has increased the demand for accommodation. The introduction of many high-rises in Honolulu has destroyed the natural landscape and how Honolulu is visualized by tourists. Furthermore, tourists have increased littering levels and noise pollution, degrading the natural appeal of Honolulu. Noise pollution levels in Honolulu have dramatically increased, causing strict noise level restrictions to be applied to the island. For example, any motor vehicle on a highway, street, or public space is prohibited if the sound generated is audible at a distance of 30 feet from the device providing the sound. Revised ordinances of Honolulu. Quote, tourism has also had a large effect on the coral systems of Honolulu. Approximately 43.2% of Honolulu's coral reefs are greatly damaged, and this percentage is increasing steadily. Future tourism population is expected to increase by 4.39%. This is an increase of over 430,000 tourists by 2020. Despite the strict noise laws, noise pollution is expected to increase as well as the level of coral reef destruction, from 43.2 to 46 or slightly more. Urban sprawl is expected to destroy natural environments around the current city and eventually destroy the habitats of various animals. As well as this, Diamond Head, the famous extinct volcano in Honolulu, will become damaged to the point of rock slides. Air pollution levels, although currently in extremely good conditions, are expected to rise from 1 to 150 on the air pollution index, considered good, to 51 to 100, which is considered to be moderate. Due to the increased level of infrastructure development and smoking tourists, levels may potentially even rise to 101 to 150, considered unhealthy for sensitive groups. This is equivalent to pollution levels in northern China.
Hey, it's Jaquisha. Economical. Tourists inject money directly into Honolulu's economy. According to the Hawaii Tourism Authority, in the year 2016, $43.2 million was spent in Hawaii by tourists daily, supporting over 192,000 jobs. Presuming that this trend of daily expenditure by tourists and number of jobs supported by tourists continues to grow at a steady rate, the economy of Honolulu will continue to grow. A prominent positive impact of this is that the standard of living and quality of life of the people of Honolulu will improve. This may be due to investments in services, infrastructure, culture, and so on. Political. Hey, it's John. As tourism has an impact on the population of Honolulu and the state of Hawaii by changing factors such as increased amounts of tourism-focused jobs, improvement in the economy, environmental impacts, and cultural disruptions, different ideas would become popular and would be introduced through elected governments and the policies they initiate. The recent US election has revealed that Hawaiians have voted for the Liberal Party more than any other state. The ideals of the Liberal Party in regards to national equality align with the ideals of Hawaiians, as multicultural acceptance is necessary for their international tourists to visit. According to the New York Times, 62.2% of Hawaiian votes were for Hillary Clinton, which is a substantial amount given that only 30% were for Donald Trump. If Honolulu maintains a tourism-focused economy and nature into the future, it is likely that laws aimed at nurturing these ideas will be instated, prompting collateral influence. Now remember, folks,
Liberals are better!
liberals are more touristy. That in mind.
Now on to the social effects of tourism. Tourism in Honolulu has affected social interactions between Hawaiians and other ethnicities as tourists have spread their culture to Honolulu. This can have negative or positive impacts depending on the specific individuals who spread their cultures. Hawaiians may have positive or negative experiences with other cultures and thus perceive their culture correspondingly. This is the same for tourists. You may perceive Hawaiian culture negatively or positively. In a survey of 2,300 tourists from Honolulu concerning Hawaiian culture, 76.3% of those surveyed considered Hawaiian culture interesting, spiritual, enlightening, or beautiful, whilst 13.6% considered it boring, incomplete, or insignificant. This survey shows the differing perspectives of social interactions of Hawaiians and tourists. Aaron William, a professor of social sciences at Hawaii Pacific University, said, "If these interactions are negative, they can lead to losses of Hawaiian culture over time. However, the majority of interactions between Hawaiians and other ethnicities is generally positive. This is actually managing to restore some of the native culture and lifestyle of indigenous Hawaiians," explained Aaron William. A positive effect social interactions of races has had is the growth of the economy. Spreading knowledge of Hawaii increases tourism there, thus creating money for Hawaii's economy. In the future, social interactions being positive with Hawaiians will likely manage to restore some of Hawaii's cultural image. However, the rapid westernization of Honolulu will likely counter this cultural movement.
I'm Stephen Starr, and welcome to Culture. Tourism greatly affects the native culture of the people of Honolulu. The westernization of Honolulu has replaced cultural and native events with modern services to accommodate for tourists' wants. Cultural dances and performances are available to be seen, however, these are mainly in theatres. Tourism is essentially restricting cultural relevance in Honolulu. In the 1930s, cultural events were frequent on Honolulu from the natives. However, as tourism has increased, the frequency of cultural events has decreased by over 1,000%. In spite of these culturally degrading negative aspects of tourism, a positive aspect is prevalent. Having tourists be enveloped in Hawaiian culture allows them to spread the culture when they return to their country. This spreads awareness of Honolulu, causing more tourists to travel to the island. This increases wealth for the island and causes growth of all positive aspects of tourism previously mentioned. With an expected increase of about 100,000 more tourists each year, the necessary rapid westernization of Honolulu to accommodate for the tourists will likely continue to deprive the city of its culture. However, it is unlikely that cultural events will ever be removed from theatres as Hawaii's culture is iconic.
G'day, Philip Filipino here, with predicting how changing choices on the tourism market may affect tourism in the future. Hotels are the main place in which tourists stay in Hawaii, as they have been there for the entirety of its tourism lifetime. With changing ideas and technologies such as Airbnb, tourists have the potential to live in areas of Honolulu and around it that aren't as built up for tourists and are made exclusively to accommodate them. It is a growing trend that younger generations of tourists want to live like the locals. live where they live, eat where they eat, and hike where they hike. So it is likely that this will spark a decline in the amount of accommodation for tourists and will potentially lead to the increase in efforts to rejuvenate Honolulu's nature and culture. According to an international survey by the University of Gothenburg, Sweden, there has been a 50% increase in the amount of people who desire experiencing different cultures in the way locals do between the years of 1994 and 2014. Presuming this recent trend continues, it's likely that tourists authorities in Hawaii will strive to accommodate for the growing interest.
Further tourism may be encouraged by one of two ways. One being a furthermore modernisation of Honolulu, building even more luxurious buildings by the beachfront, providing a getaway of those in search of effortless exploration. Whereas, Ward Village Properties LLC has initiated plans for a new building in the Honolulu Metro. It is predicted that the cost of the new, major, 5-star building is predicted to cost between $810,000 and $2.1 million for a pet-friendly, gorgeous view of the ocean. Or it could go along the other path of simply ditching the modern aspects that have already been established among the forming skyline and focusing on more cultural richness that it plays host to. For example, the State Preservation Division of Hawaii already has started to try and preserve some of the beautiful natural places that Honolulu has to offer, and decides whether or not they can be built on for archaeological or historical reasons. A piece of land that has been protected by them is Honolulu. A place that has opted to continue modernizing themselves is Bali. This was successful for them as an economy, but has greatly damaged the environment, tainting the golden beaches with tin cans and plastic wrappers. And it's not just pollution that's destroying habitats, it's also the deforestation and construction of buildings on the habitable land. But modernization isn't the only option. Kyoto is proof of this, as they have opted not to modernize completely. It took the necessary upgrades to fit in with current forms of transportation, but they have prioritized culture and ethnic meaning above all else, and it is still today one of the most well-known holiday destinations for its pure, raw beauty.
Hello, this is Gary Bill, and this is how to reduce the impacts of tourism in Honolulu. A viable strategy that could be implemented by Honolulu is that it could employ harsher punishments for smaller crimes. Like how in Singapore, if you get caught by a legal representative chewing a piece of gum or smoking, you will be heavily fined. The most peculiar law that was implemented by them was that if you forgot to flush a public toilet, you would be fined $500. These harsh penalties were put in place after the country noticed an increase in the visitors during the 1990s, and the current Prime Minister predicted that it would bring more rubbish and general pollution to the air and water. These strict rules and regulations are what have kept Singapore in such a pristine condition, even during its tourism boom, that it has been experiencing for the last 3 decades. Littering is a common crime throughout populated cities, and is present in Honolulu as well. As this worked quite well in the preservation of Singapore, it should also be effective in Honolulu. Another way that the impacts of tourism could be reduced is to stop trying to entice more travellers to come. The island of Oahu, which plays host to the city of Honolulu, earns $7.7 billion for the state's income, only from tourism, making up 10.5% of all annual income for the state of Hawaii. So the city of Honolulu makes enough profit off of tourism at this current stage, so there is no need for more expansion and destruction of land and habitats. If the town simply stopped trying to entice more tourists because they clearly have enough, then that would minimize the impact that tourism will have in the future. To lessen the degradation of culture in Honolulu due to tourism, westernization restrictions could be enacted to prevent urban sprawl that covers culturally significant areas. Currently, laws are in place to prevent construction over major cultural sites. However, less significant sites are still being destroyed. If laws prevented construction of all cities in Honolulu, if laws prevented construction over all sites of Honolulu, native culture would be preserved. Done. Why are you recording? I know you're zooming in on my face. Stop it.
How does he know?